All right, everybody. So it is Monday. What is it? The 19th, May 19th. And I'm trying to figure out what movie that I'm going to be doing for this week's Empire of the Full Moon episode. But guess what happened? Guess what showed up today in the mail? We've got our set of movies from Full Moon. In the 10-pack, the set of The Crazy World of Charles Band, or I can't remember exactly what that is, but let's look at it. So, here it is. Here is the Strange World of Charles Band collection. This is the third collection, one of these that I've had, and I'm just going to see if I can choose one out of this. Maybe I'll do Hideous, because I know I haven't done Hideous before, and I know that it is an amazing movie, but we do have Dr. Mordred, Dollman versus Demonic Toys, Trophy Heads, Meridian, Hideous, Head of the Family, Death Streamer, The Creeps, and Quadrant. We've already done Death Streamer and Quadrant. Ooh, maybe I'll do The Creeps. Anyways, that's what I'm going to be working on. Ooh, you can barely even see that. So just so you know, if you haven't got one of these sets before, I think the coolest thing about it is you get this little clip here. So mine was 19th out of 300. And which is great. And I already, like I said, I already got the other two. So you've got the Strange Invaders and Unknown Worlds, and you've got the Demons Monsters collection. I already have a frame ready for this bad boy. So I just wanted you to know how I was figuring out how to do it for the next show, and that's it. And I'll get that show going, and see you Friday. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of Empire of the Full Moon. I'm your host, Mike Cadaver, and man, are we going to be talking about a doozy of a movie this episode. As you saw in the intro, I did that Monday. It's now Wednesday. The Blu-ray set, The Strange World of Charles Band, showed up, and I decided to just pick a movie from that set to talk about. I did talk about a couple of the other sets that have come in. This is the third one of these sets that Charles Band's put together, or Full Moon Features, or whoever's doing it. They have 10 movies, $50, and you get a signed little placard or little card from Charles Band, a numbered set, and it's good to go. I'm 3 for 3 because I figure even if I have a couple dupes, they're still only $5 a piece. So there you go. Well, as you notice, I was talking about mostly The Creeps and Hideous on that. Both from The Creeps and Hideous. Because, Hideous has an exclamation point at the end, and I want to make sure that we don't get it mixed up with some regular old lame Hideous movie, okay? This has an exclamation point, but they're both from 1997. But before we get started, and as if you don't know which movie I'm going to be talking about already, let's do each other a favor, right? I'll try to keep making cool videos because I love you guys, and you can like and subscribe because you love me. What a wonderful world this could be. Come on, let's just do that, make everyone happy. Positive vibes, here we go. But as I'm deciding on which movie to choose, something deep and primal took over and, inside me and just overcame me and made the choice for me. And that is my lifelong love of hot blondes that has plagued my whole life. Whether it's Pam Anderson, Anna Nicole Smith, the Lander sisters, Jenny McCarthy, Bobby Brown, or Jackie Lovell. Oh, sorry. And of course, Betty Cadaver, the most wonderful one of all. Hi, honey. Hope you're watching. I've been a sucker forever, especially growing up. And those were some early 90s hot chicks. And there you go. But that's not to say this isn't an amazing movie, because it is. This movie came out after the golden age of the Full Moon Paramount deal, and but this came in, but that does not mean that it's a bad movie or anything like that, because this came out in the Full Moon Kushner Lock Company when they were partnered up on distribution. The thing is there's a lot of good movies. I've talked about one with Head of the Family. I've already talked about that, and you know how much I love that if you saw that episode. But this didn't, I mean, like I said, there's a lot that came out from this era. Head of the Family, The Creeps, Subspecies 4, Bloodstorm, Blood Dolls, and of course, Hideous. But anyway, just so you know, I'm going to give you a little warning with this episode too, because there's a couple of anecdotes, well, one in particular, that Charles Band has about this movie and filming this movie. That's just great, and I want to share that with you. It's out of his book, Confessions of a Puppet Master, a Hollywood memoir of ghouls, guts, and gonzo filmmaking. Charles Band and Charles Filber wrote that, put it together from 2021. So I'm just going to read that to you because it is so funny, and there's no way I can make it any better. But anyways, why don't we do this before we move on? Let's go ahead and play a trailer for Hideous from 1997.
Keep the sewage flowing. That's the idea. Something bad comes into the trap, it's our job to fish it out.
What the hell is this? What do we do with it?
I'll take care of it.
This is a no deposit, no return kind of business.
Has Miss Yost said anything more about the specimen?
Just hold on 1 sec, and I'm going to show you something that'll knock your socks off.
Every man has an overriding passion, a thing for which he will kill.
What about the human specimens,
Everybody, you just saw the trailer for Hideous. Is this going to be a joke that's going to last the whole thing? Probably, and why wouldn't it be? The year it came out is 1997. This is currently at a 4.8 on the IMDb machine, pardon me. Directed by Charles Band, and if you've seen this show, you know that it's typically the part in the show where I go over some of the director's past work, talk about some of his or her highlights, but it's Charles Band, guys. If you're watching this video, I assume you're aware of who he is and what he's done. But let's talk about the writer, at least. Neil Marshall Stevens. He did a lot of his work under the name Benjamin Carr, and he actually directed this movie as Benjamin Carr. He worked with on Head of the Family with Charles Band again, and I think that came out, just a little bit before this one did. So, I mean, these guys have been working together for a couple years straight on that. But he's done a ton of work with Charles Band in his career. He wrote The Creeps from 1997, Shrieker, 1998, Curse of the Puppet Master, 1998, Craw, 1998, Deathstreamer, a new one from 2024, Amy the Visitor, 2023, The Killer Eye from 1999. And even though I did say that the Kushner-Locke era had some great movies, it did have some not so great movies, and unfortunately The Killer Eye was one of those, but I digress. The list goes on and on of his work for Full Moon, but he also did a lot of work outside of Full Moon. He did the screenplay for 13 Ghosts and Hellraiser Deader. And if that's from 2005, and I'll tell you what, if this was a movie that didn't get roped into Pinhead being kind of shoehorned into a bunch of different scripts because they had to keep the copyright, I think that would have been a decent movie. But as a Hellraiser movie, it's a little rough. This also stars Mel Johnson Jr. as Napoleon Lazar, and you will recognize him because he was the bug-armed taxi driver in Total Recall. It also starred Jacqueline Lavelle, Sheila, the person who kind of tipped the scales into me doing this one. It starred Tracy May as Belinda Yost, Rhonda Griffin as Elvina Shaw, and Jerry O'Donnell as Leonard Cantor. Okay, so let's go over the plot for a second. In the murky depths of a Los Angeles sewage treatment facility, an unsuspecting worker uncovers a shocking discovery: an unusually deformed mutant fetus. Rather than reporting the grotesque find to authorities, he contacts Belinda Yost, a shrewd and glamorous biological artifact broker known for trafficking in rare, freakish anomalies of nature. Recognizing the extraordinary and potentially valuable nature of the mutant specimen, Yost quickly negotiates its sale to Napoleon Lazar, a reclusive millionaire and obsessive collector of deformed biological oddities. Meanwhile, word of the discovery reaches Dr. Emilio Lorca, another eccentric and highly competitive collector of anatomical curiosities. Eager to claim the specimen for his own twisted collection, Lorca deploys his loyal whip-wielding assistant Sheila to steal it from under Yost's nose, and a scene that we will talk about in depth in a little bit. The theft sparks an intense rivalry between the two men, each driven by an unhealthy fixation on ownership and control of the world's most grotesque biological abnormalities. In response, Lazar hires Leonard Cantor, a cynical and hard-nosed private investigator, to track down the stolen specimen and confront Lorca. Yost and her anxious if not clueless secretary, Elvina Shaw, also accompanies them to Lorca's imposing and isolated Eastern European castle, which functions as both a mansion and a personal museum of biological horrors. Inside the confines of Lorca's stronghold, tensions boil over as the two collectors engage in a petty and escalating war of words, and even a more sinister turn unfolds. Unknown to the group, of the stolen mutant fetuses have inexplicably come to life, and it's not alone. Basically, they use some mysterious form of telepathic connection, and it awakens all of them, and all four of them. There's a total of four, and basically they kind of go around, try to escape. I mean, nobody wants to be in a jar for everyone to look at. They want to be free, and that's what these guys want. Anyway, so the rest of the movie is basically trying to figure out what's going on with them. Number two, the rivalry between the two collectors. And man, it just gets so funny when these little puppets start to interact and even start to take advantage of these humans. But what kind of gross hobby is collecting the twisted corpses of human oddities? What happens to a person when obsession and competition takes over his whole life? Do you think you could be turned on by a topless gorilla? Find out by watching Hideous from 1997. Okay, so if you've been watching this show, you know the Full Moon. I always like to point this out. Full Moon always does a great job at a few things with most of their movies. Number one being their excellent scores. Richard Band does a great job here. It's perfect for it. It's quirky. I mean, it matches the movie. He has a great, I mean, they're brothers. So Richard and Charles are brothers. So I feel like they kind of have this link in there. They both understand the kind of movie they're trying to make. Quirky, kind of ridiculous, but amazing. And so that you could describe Richard Band's score is exactly that. The second thing that they always do is the locations are great. Lorca's mansion is great in this. It doesn't look like a low-budget film because of it. Even the internal portion of Lorca's mansion is also really interesting to look at, including the 007-ish acid pit under a trap door in his office. Wonderful. This is basically filmed in Romania at Castel Studios. Now, this was owned by Charles Band and Vlad Ponescu. They picked it up in 1991, and they started to basically, to make movies over there. A lot of the ones that they did were the Subspecies series. So basically, in the beginning, what happened is Nicolae Ceausescu, was a dictator. He'd just fallen out of power, and so there wasn't much of a tourist trade back then, and there wasn't much of a film industry back then. So it was a little sketchy in the beginning, but by this time, it'd been 5 years or so since that happened, 5-6 years. So everyone was getting kind of not as scared to come to the through the Romanian airport. And I think Charles Band actually helped to build a flourishing Romanian film industry. It got more expensive later, and Charles Band had to get out of there just because of expense after a while. But both Vlad and Ioana Ponescu who worked with Band, they still run that place as far as I know. Another thing, and this is a Full Moon feature, so we know the puppets were great. These ones are definitely gross, but very interesting looking. There's my favorite one, I think, kind of looks like a turkey. There's a kind of a ugly baby looking one. These are not good descriptions, but it's funny. A lot of rod puppetry going on here. Let's see. The human characters were really interesting, and I'm not even talking about Sheila and her outfits, although they were great. But one of my favorite on this is Emilio Lorca. He's the mansion-owning, rich and educated, articulate specimen collector. And I say that he's articulate because he speaks with the same kind of timbre that Myron Stackpole did in Head of the Family. And I love this so much because you've got all this crazy like dialogue. These funny things are being said. And here he is just speaking in this very calm and collected and intelligent way. And he's just going back and forth, and it cracked me up. I call that the full Moonian dialogue, just the weird stuff that would people really ever say, but I personally don't care because I find it very funny. A lot of these, there weren't very many people in this. I mentioned all of them except for 3. The only 3 people I didn't mention were the workers who actually fished the specimen out of the sewer system. So, but a lot of these were very, very, I don't know if this is a word, caricatural, but here's why. They ham it up. We have this boss B word specimen reseller, Belinda Yost, who's, look at me, I'm a big, strong woman. And then you've got on the other end, the total ditz, Elvina Shaw, the Yost's assistant. You got Leonard Cantor, the hard-boiled detective. And they kind of all fit I don't say that as a bad thing. They fit in their little like space. It's like a puzzle with all the rest of the characters. And I feel like they all do their parts great. This is, there was so much hilarity, comedy in this. Wild premises. This is a Full Moon feature as well. This movie was jam-packed with wild scenes, as is most Full Moon features. Let's just name a couple. The slimy oddity nipple sucking. Okay, the turkey oddity shooting a pistol. And the topless gorilla. And I told you we'd get into this one, so let's do that now. But to set the scene a little bit, I just wanted to mention that if you've seen the movie, or it's probably shown in the trailer, that scene where Jacqueline was topless in the gorilla hat. There was snow on the ground. It was cold, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. However, I'm just gonna read an excerpt from Confessions of a Puppet Master because he says it way better than I do. So here's Charles Band on this. Early and hideous, a fantastic specimen, a grotesquely deformed human baby falls into the hands of one of the collectors, played by Mel Johnson Jr. He drives home through the snow with his precious cargo, only to be stopped and robbed by the other collector's batshit crazy and dangerous personal assistant, Jacqueline Lavelle, who forces him into the woods at gunpoint, cuffs him to a tree, and then heads off with the specimen. But what makes this scene more memorable is that she does all this while topless, nearly naked, except for the fact that she's wearing a giant gorilla mask. Why? He says, because nobody ever forgets a scene like that. And he goes on, he says, but here's the thing, it was cold that day, like jaw-clenchingly, ass-bitingly, face-numbingly cold, the kind of cold that instantly breezes through all your layers of clothing and chills your bones. They made him wear, this is Charles Band, they made me wear heated insoles in my shoes to keep me from losing a toe or two. It's that kind of cold. And here was Jackie wearing only a gorilla mask, a tiny pair of black shorts, and boots, and amazingly, you wouldn't even know she was cold. She's hilarious, disguising her character's identity with a voice that sounds like a cross between Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice and Mr. T. To call her a trooper doesn't even begin. What we hadn't counted on was that Romania really was flourishing. There was a lot more cars and a lot more places to go. So rather than the low traffic that we expected, we had lots of people driving by. There was yelling and horn honking, and we kept having to pause to usher people on their way. Not only had we created an indelible movie moment, we'd given the northern suburbs of Bucharest some dinner table conversation. And that is one of the funniest things I have ever read. Because I would pay money to be able to drive by and see that going on, especially if it's Jacqueline Lavelle. But I don't know, man, this was so funny. It's quirky. At this point in the movie, when I'm giving my opinion, I always feel like I'm not going to choose one that I totally hate. So you know that I love it, right? I'm trying to give you like the reasons why I love it, and I hope that you would love it too. Not for all the exact same reasons, but just love it because there's just so much heart put behind this. The actors did a great job. I watched the Video Zone, and they just seem to be having so much fun. Also, I watched this on Full Moon Streaming. I do have the Blu-ray. It's still in its thing. It just came Monday, like I said, but I haven't popped it out to check it out on that yet because the Video Zone's on streaming, so is the movie and all the trailers that I think are all the extras on the Blu-ray. But there's a little part at the hour mark of this movie where it looks like the the film has been damaged, and that was on the streaming, and I wonder if it's on this. I assume it's going to be on the Blu-ray as well, but I'd like to check that out. But it's fun. It's a 90s movie that is old, and who knew in the 90s that we were going to have remasters and Blu-rays. So I'm just glad it's there, even with, I mean, it's only a minute. It's a little distracting, but not bad. Anyway, that's all I really have. There's one funny thing that I do have to say. Rhonda Griffin, who played Elvina, what's her very first role, and she refused to do a nude scene, so they were forced to use a body double. And the funny thing is about this is this would have been her first nude scene. Just think about it, though. Let's pretend she did it. Okay, she didn't, but let's pretend she did. What if your first nude role was a hideous, slimy oddity suckling on your nipple under some blankets? Just think about that. What a fun thing to tell your parents. Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching again, you guys. I really do appreciate it. Tell your friends about the show, share, like, whatever, all the things that the professional YouTube guys say. Go to thecorpsecollective.com. Check everything out there. We've got a lot of other stuff going on. Currently, I'm working on another season of our trivia show. Anyways, that's all I got. So go check it out, and appreciate you watching. Catch you later.